So I'm gonna start by taking any type of a clip, and I'm just gonna clip out all this hair up here just because we have a lot of it. If hair's short, you don't necessarily have to do this. So once that's sectioned away, what you're gonna do is take your clippers. Okay, so how this works is like the on and off, and then there should be like the back or the side a switch like this, okay? So it's opened and closed, that's how it works. So when it's closed, that's gonna be the shortest length, and when you open it, it's a little bit longer because it's not gonna take away quite to the edge, okay? So I'm gonna start with my guard closed, and we are gonna use a number 2, okay? So guard closed and number 2. So number 1 guard is the shortest length, and then the higher the guard you use, that's the longer the hair is gonna be. So his hair is quite long, so there's gonna be a lot coming off. You don't have to use a guard that's this small, but we're gonna be taking off quite a bit here. So I'm gonna start in the back. And so what you're gonna do is like feel the guy's head, and there's gonna be kind of a bone halfway through, or halfway up, sorry. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the number 2 guard, and this is gonna be the longest length, okay? And I'm gonna go in and then stop kind of where that bone is. Sorry, I got pulled. So it's gonna be right about there. So I'm gonna be using a flicking, kind of like a scooping motion. And I'm going to do that all the way around, almost in like a horseshoe shape. So kind of like this, a little bit lower in the back, and then coming up. So I'm gonna aim to stop kind of right about there, sort of in line with like the eyebrow, okay? Okay, so we'll do that all the way through, and then we'll go from there. That. So that was a 2 with the guard closed all the way around, okay? So just kind of creating that. So now I'm gonna work down. I know that this looks kind of crazy, but we'll deal with that kind of weight line afterwards, okay? So right now we're just kind of targeting this area. Okay, so now that I did the 2, I'm gonna take this off, and I'm gonna put a 1 on. So 1 guard on, and I'm gonna open it. So that makes it, so it's just gonna be a little bit shorter than what we already did. So now I'm gonna go through and just do a little bit below that, same little scooping motion, and not going above where we just cut. So now just a little bit below, and I'm just recreating that shape all the way through. So number 1 guard on, and then it's open. Gonna go closed, and now I'm just gonna do right along the hairline, okay? So I'm kind of just working like backwards now. So now this is 1 closed. And you can do this with any number, just the higher guards you use, the longer it's gonna be. So I used a 1, 1.5, 2. So now I'm gonna put a number 3 guard on and just get rid of all this weight. And then there's still gonna be a little bit of a line afterwards, but we'll go through and blend it out. But that's honestly pretty much like the hardest part. Okay, so now guard closed, number 3. And now I'm just gonna go through and just take away all this weight. So just going through and taking that away. And then when I'm doing it, making sure that I don't round, that I'm kind of keeping a straight up motion. So you don't want to go through and start going like this because it's just gonna create some like weird shapes up here then. Okay. Just flick in. Now, what I'm gonna do with this kind of like, those long bits that you still have, you're gonna take a comb. If you have one that's a little bit wider, that's gonna be best, but honestly, any type of a comb will work. And then just a pair of scissors. Obviously, cutting scissors would be better, but if you have any type of scissors, totally fine, okay? So now what we're trying to do is blend this and this together. So if you take a comb, you can kind of see those pieces that were picked up, right? Just those long ones. So what you're gonna do is just pick those up and cut them. So I start at the bottom, kind of follow along, and then where those hairs start to pick up like that, just cut them off. And you'll have to work at it a little bit, like just kind of slowly start going through. And the more you kind of chip away at it, the more it starts to blend. You can see that even just looks a lot more blended already, and we just started blending that out. So just blending it, and then don't push into it and then cut, because it's going to create a hole. So all you're doing is just getting rid of a few of those hairs on the end, and then slowly it'll just go shorter and shorter until you see the blend that you like. So it's starting to blend a little bit better. So just take your time, go slow and steady, and then just straight up with the comb is what you're doing. You're not wanting to bend over. at-home clipper set has trimmers. It'll be like a smaller version of your clippers. Use that. If not, you can just use your clippers and then just make sure all the guards are off and your guard is closed. So that means that it's lined up just like that, okay? So I'm gonna use my trimmers, but if you don't have this, you can use that as well. Okay, so once you take the guards off, what this means is anything that you hit, it's gonna basically go bald. So what I'm gonna use this for is I'm just gonna use this and kind of outline the hair, the hairline, and just getting rid of all those long hairs, just so it looks a little more cleaned up, okay? So I'm gonna go in, I pull the skin a little bit, and don't be scared about cutting him. So what I'm trying to do is line up the ear, and then getting rid of all the hairs that's on this side of it. Okay, so you can kind of create like a little line, getting rid of all of that. Just like that. So I'm gonna do that on both sides. The same thing on this side. Everything past that is all gonna go. And then just go slow. You can always take off more if you need to, but you can't glue hair back on. Okay, and then just in here, just getting rid of all those little hairs. He doesn't have a hairy back, but if your like spouse got a hairy back, just be careful not to drag it down too much because you don't want to start giving him a back shave. So just like that. Okay, so now along the ear. So I'm using the edge, that's what I'm gonna do. And you're just being careful that you're not putting any of the lines in there because that's gonna take everything off, okay? I'm bending the ear forward. And I'm just tracing the ear there, just getting rid of all of those long hairs. Just like that. Okay, and then there's ones in front of the ear as well. But I'm gonna come in at this angle. I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, you have to do this opposite. Perfect. And then, are you planning on shaving anytime soon?
This is like my shave.
Okay. So, and then if you wanted to block that off, I would just aim for middle of the ear. But he's grown out his mustache, so we're gonna leave it. Okay, and then same thing on the other side. Just behind the ear. That clipped away. So if you don't feel comfortable cutting the top, that should be enough that it'll be able to blend. Especially when it comes to guys cuts, as soon as the sides are cut, honestly, it looks pretty good because the top can be as long or short as you want. His top is really long, so we're gonna be cutting it today. So if you are interested in cutting the top, keep watching. If not, that should be enough to blend. Okay. I'm just taking a little bit off the front. With like kind of a panel down the middle, okay? So now I'm gonna come. So that should all be straight there. So now I'm gonna go through and then just connect them with horizontal sections all the way through.